I'm just getting my stuff ready in the background because the theme of it today is which should not be a box, but it is. I think I'm gonna start my videos with music. Maybe when I get them moved over to my own platform and I ain't got to worry about them being blocked in different countries. Because Daddy's Home is a theme. I don't know if I should name the video that. We'll see what I name it by the time I get to the end. Because, yo. So, some days I go MIA, right? It's necessary because I'll have my lovely, wonderful clients, my regular, mildly 3D life. And I'm going to say mildly 3D because even though I am very much instrumental in the regular material stuff, it's like charm now. I don't understand how them bitches was running a club and fighting demons. But, you know, here I am. So, trying to do my job. But the amount of suffering that is occurring on the planet right now, not even just from the one or multiple major events that are occurring, but from the people feeling the pain from the events that are occurring, have somehow given enough energy for new messages to come through. New era loading. That feels like the message. Although Daddy's Home would be the sub message. So my fucktivity, paranormal fucktivity, because I live between a beautiful, fantastical movie and a horror film. I guess that's what Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter is. It's not an epic fantasy film if there's not some horrible villain, right? But that's the thing, that's the problem. It's the villain. Let's just go on and do this. So I went to sleep after I had decided to test my spidey senses a little bit. And y'all sit back. This I gotta explain in full. I've been coaching myself on how to get my story out a little bit better. I'm still operating in some spaces based on little girl me, which would hurry up and tell her story because I realized people didn't understand where I was going with it because I be trying to make sure y'all know all the details and connect all the dots. I like Kanye because y'all need the background story in order to understand the importance of this story. But it made me talk faster and like it ends up just making me seem erratic. And I'm not erratic. It's just my mind moves faster than my mouth, and my stories are very large because there are a lot of details leading to one plot point. Hence, this. I was finishing out a session with a client, one of my faves, and she happened to mention Gaza, but it was because of like something personal, like her birth certificate or something, right? At that same time, I was refreshing my YouTube thing so I can see what the fuck I was about to do next. And Gaza had just got bombed at that moment, like the headlines were starting to blast. And I sat with it for a second because I don't tap into what's going on in the world anymore. When I first started my awakening, oh, I was so cute and innocent. I remember many years before this happened, I would see like Illuminati stuff and conspiracy theories and all that stuff, and I would watch it, right? And I'd be an asshole. I'd be like, oh, these people are idiots. There's no way this has happened. But I'm a curious person, so I watched it. I tried to take it in. I'm like, there's no way this is this myth. So when my awakening happened, right? And I started getting my gifts, my spidey senses, it came back around. I'd be watching something and I'd be like, so the thing that made me oh my goodness, I could feel the feelings already starting. Y'all, no, stop it. I'm sensitive. It's like I healed from all my childhood and teen stuff, but I haven't healed from the spiritual traumas that have occurred in the past 5 years. And I haven't talked to anybody about this shit. So I watched the movie Doctor Sleep. I had never even seen The Shining, y'all, but Doctor Sleep stood out to me. Boy, the whole movie, I was like, something about this feels real. Like the reason I'm watching this is real, right? So quick, the main plot of the story is there is this group of people who are essentially vampires, but they're like energy vampires, magic vampires. If they find out you have the shine or you have power, they will use their psychic gifts because that's how they found out about this shit in the first place. And when they eat you, technically, they collect your juju. So they go around and they come in groups, large groups, gangs, and they steal your juju. They can sense you from 300, 400, 600 miles away. If you use your power, they're going to be like, what the fuck is that on the map? And they coming for your ass, right? In this film, they were looking for kids because kids have the purest strain of The Shining. That Stephen King ain't right in the head, but I think I know why he's not right in the head now. They were very graphic with how this happens, and watching that was horrific. Okay, so afterwards, I got like pulled into a rabbit hole of the movie. So I'm looking up Doctor Sleep, and then I see this word, right? And I started looking up this particular word, and my first thought was, there's no way this is possible. People can't be this evil because this is about hurting children in order to siphon their energy. And this is about humans, people like me and you, taking babies. Of course, I'm like, no, there's no way. My muggle kicked in so hard. But it haunted me. It haunted me. And I had to do that thing I do, y'all. Y'all know I had to investigate. Why did I do that? It was real. It was very real. There are not always good people out here. I actually ended up blinding my third eye, which I didn't know what was possible. It was possible. Um, it's still hard to talk about. So after that, like I wanted to understand, like why would people do this? Why? Because some of the people are forced into it. Like, how do you live with this after you get invited to a group of people and you think it's all like cool, gang, we're just in a secret society, and then you get invited to an event where there's a sacrifice ritual and it's not adult that is being sacrificed at this ritual. How do you live with that shit afterwards, right? It turns out some of them don't. Some of them try to escape afterwards. Some of the people that we see like on these screens who try to say something and then suddenly shut the fuck up. I was honing in after a day of research, and I was about to go to bed, and like a name popped in my head, and I was like, "Hey, can we listen to some blank music? Can I give him a name? What name would I give him? Oh, because I don't want this to be a blind item. I don't ever want anybody to know who it is because it's still like it hurts my heart. Um, oh, that would have gave him away if I used that name. Oh, let me think. I'm just gonna call him Moon Boy. Whatever. Nobody will ever figure out what song just popped in my head that made me use that. Okay, so Moon Boy. I'm like, hey, let's listen to some Moon Boy right quick. It just popped in my head. So when I go to his YouTube channel, y'all, I be on YouTube a lot, and this is on my TV when I used to listen to music. We noticed that his record label has removed all his music. I can't find his music in that moment, and so I'm with my homeboy 211. That's what I'm calling him. That's my bestie. Whenever I say 211, just know that's his birthday. But it pops up everywhere all the time. So he's my sidekick. That's my 007. It's 211. Um, I'm like, bro, something's going on because that guy just popped up on radar. We can't find any music. And we're both unsettled by it because we just sat here and watched these documentaries and like looked up all this shit all day. So we go to bed, and 211's skill set is that he's able to move through the astral uh controlled. My stuff is not so much controlled. My bitch do what she want to do. Okay. It's like there's me, then there's duplicate me. And duplicate me doesn't have the couth that human me has, right? So we lay down. He went to sleep. I stayed awake. We sort of do it Freddy Krueger style, if you will, where one person stays awake while the other person does something. So I was doing my own thing. And then he like pops up after like an hour. Fucked up. Like, no, something's wrong. He was like, who was I supposed to be going to see? And I was like, Moon Boy, Moon Boy. He was like, I went. And he was like, because I could see the person, but I couldn't make out where he was. She was like, but we were underground. And when I went to approach him, there was these two like white beings like with afros, and they noticed me, and I started running, and that's when I woke up. And I was like, all right, well, what was the room he was in? He was like, it was like in a basement. It's like we were underground somewhere. So I went and grabbed my cards. I know the extent of my skill set at that time. I've been learning in a really difficult way. I guess there ain't no way to do it but to do it, right? So I go grab my cards, and I'm like, all right, where is he at now? This is when I first started finding out about remote viewing, even though I didn't know what it was called. Remote viewing is when you are able to sit in a meditation, and guess what? Every skill that I saw in the freaking Dr. Sleep film helped me. It's like if I see another skill, my astral self remembers that I had that skill and it starts like integrating it. So this was the first time I had ever uh, tapped in and been able to see where somebody was. So I tapped in. Oh, I tapped in and he was underground. It was like I don't want to say abandoned building because this was like created. I don't think it was created for what it ended up being, but it was like big, big hallways. If you were somebody who did not know the layout of this place, you would have never got the fuck out. The walls were big, it was dark, and I ended up doing a freaking painting because I had to get that shit out of me. But I walked down the hallway, astral self, and I went into the room. They had moved him. He was already moved. Uh, but I was messed up, so I asked my friends to help me. I asked my spiritual Spidey sense friends. Y'all, I don't have one friend left from that group of people that I asked to help me with that mission. They were all so fucked up by that shit. They didn't talk to me afterwards. But I didn't know, and I feel really bad about it, but uh I didn't know it was real. I did not think that this level of evil existed. So when we went back the next day, me and the friends, because 211 was like, fuck this. After what he saw, he just does the astral stuff. He lets me do all the rest of the things. Uh, he was being tortured. And it was at this point that my third eye went blind. I could no longer see what was going on in the room he was held in because they moved him to a new room, but I could feel. And I think everything was being recorded in my subconscious, but instead of letting me like see it or hear it or feel it or anything, I was just being fed the info from my higher self so I wouldn't get damaged anymore. The friends who stopped talking to me did not have that blessing or that block. Like one was overwhelmed because she smelled blood and she was like, fuck this, I'm out. The other one just said he kept telling her, like, leave, you don't want to see this. And then it was like, he's gone, he's gone. But that's where the extent of their gifts stopped and mine's went on because I held him. Like I used my physical body like to hold him, sort of like to help him disassociate from what was happening to him because they were trying to force him out of his body, like to fragment his consciousness, to make him break away from himself so that they could implant a demonic spirit that would use his body. It was like get out surgery, but it's not surgery that they're using to do this. This is like an old ritual of soul swapping or something. So I held him till he was gone. And he was good. Like he was in a better place. And I was fucked up. I went to go find like the last music video he had ever recorded because Moon Guy is sort of a weird artist anyway. And it's like in the last video he made, it was all coded that he understood that this was going to happen to him and it was okay because when he got out of the body, he was free. Now, the human is still existing, walking around. I've seen him in the astral sense, and he was still like in handcuffs, like the people still had his soul on clink clink. But whenever I see him in the astral now, the way he looks there is the way that I see him when he gets out every now and then. That's not the same dude. He don't even do the same things he was doing before. He has like other I'm not because it'll give away too many details, and I'm not supposed to notice. Uh, but now I can't help but notice every other person that it happens to. And that's the real reason I don't get into the celebrity stuff with y'all. That's the reason I don't dig into these events and these cards because I ain't seen nothing I wanted to see and I ain't seen nothing I could take back. So when the Gaza stuff started happening, I was like, okay, maybe I can do this now. Even though I know what I know and I know what they're building up to. I know why this is starting. I was like, let me still check with the cards. I always want to remain humble. Don't take my gift for granted. Don't think I just know everything because I don't know. This just streams through me. And I ain't got no choice but to accept it because anytime that I have not accepted what streamed through me, it kicked me in my ass afterwards. So a video goes by me and it's kids, right? Which is supposed to be my trigger, is usually my trigger. but it's like them holding the trigger warning, guys. I should trigger warning this whole video. Um, it's like dead babies they have lined up as people holding their own dead babies and stuff. And I feel absolutely nothing. Like I recognize it and I see it and I was like, this is exactly what I was told was going to be going on right now. And I turned it to 11 and I'm like, I wonder if I was pushed so far so that when the time comes that everybody else is panicking and in their feelings, I am able to stand behind a wall. Like I can clearly see what's going on here. And usually seeing like RIP unalive babies and stuff of that nature would have taken anybody out. But I was like, okay, there's other stuff that got to be done because this is not the end. This is just the beginning. This is like round one. And at that moment, I was like, oh, they're trying to give these people like PTSD. They're trying to make them disconnect from their heart. They're trying to fuck them up. And he was like, I think this might be PTSD that you have if you didn't feel any type of way when you saw her. And I'm like, yo, I think, and it's gonna sound messed up, some of this trauma is meant to adapt into a superpower. You know, all the time when they tell you like laughter is my defense because I had a traumatic childhood, but it was a coping mechanism that pushed you, which is but you got to take away the idea of messed up here and just think about the end result because whatever bad throws at you, good is going to turn into something that works in your favor. That's how the balance works here. Bad makes a move to fuck you over. Good takes that move and fixes it. Like, voila, what's next? Back and forth until the day you leave this place. So maybe PTSD, complex, it would be the case, but it has allowed me to put a wall. And that wall just started coming down this last week. Like how many reasons I started crying, and it was like me finally getting to and my third eye was coming unblind and I was able to start seeing stuff again. So what did my dumb ass do? I was like, let me see what's going on with this war. And I didn't blind myself because there was nothing to see. As soon as I went to pull, told me exactly what I thought it was. This is what y'all are seeing up here, but behind the scenes, there are conversations with large groups of people that are making these moves. The same people that are coming out in front of that camera, like, this is a disgrace. Just had the chat that this was about to happen. And they have a whole rollout for what's about to happen, leading up to what? Because I saved the card. I wanted y'all to know. Because I was like, what is next in this big war? What is the goal? What is coming through? You see that's Capricorn and that's Leo, right? Now, usually one would read this as uh, some sort of mundane. That's Leo energy, that's Capricorn energy. That must be like a big event that is going to like set a precedent. Not me, baby. Because somehow during this process, I have been turned into not only a strange evangelist, but also an occultist, because that is supposed to be the purpose of me. And I had to accept it. I can see the highest high, but I can see the darkest dark, and I'm supposed to sit in the middle and judge based on that. Okay. So let me show you this guy, and then I'm gonna share my screen. So let me put me back up here too. Hi y'all. Hey Ush. So this is the demiurge, guys. Right? See how just right. Daddy's home was the message I got. I said, fuck this, right? I went to sleep. It doesn't just end like that. It doesn't just end like that. So it appears that what I have been doing, teaching you guys and working on my own healing, right, is I have been climbing the tree of life and death. I have approached the top 3 spears. I am aiming for the crown. And that's cool. But the tree of life and death works back to back. I thought it was 2 separate trees. Nah, they right here. You can even pick to be on the side of death or life. Sometimes you pick from both parts, but in order to get out, you gotta pick one way. There's only one exit, baby. So as I started, not keep in mind, this is I know I told y'all about my relationship, my walk with God, and how I was starting to heal, and we're having a conversation back. But I did not know that meant that Bad Dad was my new villain. You know, on Mortal Kombat, how you move up and like Shaolin, is that his name? Is the dude at the top that you gotta fight? I heard in the beginning of my awakening that in order to get out, in order for anybody to exit, the person you gotta go past is the devil. And I was like, okay, so how do you beat the devil? Because and it was like sympathy. You have to love him. I was like, no, that sounds like satanic worship. You can't love the devil, but it's not that. No, 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 B. Love makes them run, right? The goal is sympathy, empathy. That also, it's not so much about making them flee because that's what it expects. Everybody hates it. Everybody like it thrives off of. You ever met somebody who everybody hates and they thrive off of being hated? I was about to say like Nicki Minaj, but so it's sort of kind of, but not everybody hates her. But that energy that she takes when there are haters, that is the demiurge. Her Mars is in Capricorn. Anything Capricorn is Saturnian, right? Her drive, her anger. That's how this guy works. The more you hate him, the bigger he gets. The more you fight, the bigger it gets. But what I did, because clearly when God gave me that speech about you not being born with a spirit of fear, I really took this serious. And maybe I've been doing that the whole time. I didn't know. I thought I was being nosy, but no, I was trusting in God and walking the path He wanted me to go on to see what I needed to see. And it led me to that dude. So that that message, all of this was about the bomb. It's about Russia. It's about Putin. About 2 years ago, y'all know I'm a radio. I pick up on songs. Every song and movie I seen clearly was like set in my human so that I can use it as a Rolodex for messages. When I listen to songs now, I'll see like a whole storyline go beyond me or go before me. Or when I am talking to y'all, I'll hear a movie or I'll see a clip from a movie to understand what the message is. Your guides can use what's in your Rolodex. The more you put in your mind, the more you'll get your messages because it's like full of stuff. So with that being said, I was like, well, what's this guy's problem? So God is the sun, right? Shines forward, lights up everything. But because the sun is the sun and it's always shining, it never gets to see a shadow. Saturn is God's shadow. So God loves you and takes care of you and all that stuff, and it wants to be the best dad ever. Then there's this part back here where you, for all the disrespect, all the forsakenness, everything that you do wrong to God lays in the back of his shadow because he's daddy. He don't want to do none of that. So every now and then he hits this Jekyll and Hyde shit like every 28 years. And this guy comes out. It turns out that this energy alone mixed with God is called a Brassix, the great balancer, like the sheet of paper that everything is on. It is not good or evil. It is just, it is. So I'm like, all right, I understand good dad. Me and him are on a good thing. If sympathy is what I gotta earn to figure out for this, let's go. Let's do it because I'm getting out of here this life. And I plan on making sure a lot of people come with me just by saying what I need to say, which it turns out is what I keep doing that gets me stuck here. It's cool. So I'm looking. This is I guess astrally, because my dream was wiped the next morning. This is the information I woke up with, y'all. I didn't get to see anything that happened in my dreams. There was nothing to decode. I woke up blank, like my shit got deleted, but I had a whole bunch of messages. So clearly my astral self was about it and went and had a conversation. When I peeked around that corner, like, what's wrong with this dude? Why are we all trapped here? This nigga want his mommy. Isn't that the craziest thing? That whole Thanos storyline is legit. He wants Sophia. So let me tell y'all this, right? The demiurge. You see this being right here? That was not what it was at first. It was just blackness, darkness, God's shadow, just chaos, right? The universe was being created up there in heaven, all lovely, and then there's just this black thing that is still conscious but unconscious, doesn't know what it is. And as God starts to create, it starts to create, right? The first thing God did as an energy, keep in mind, God is a frequency, is like, I need an avatar. I need a being. What would I be? And what does he create? Christ Michael. So Christ Michael is God's avatar. That is his player in the game, right? Next, he's like, well, needs some friends. So he breaks himself into three other principles. Those are the four archangels. That is Gabriel, Michael, Raphael, Uriel. I even kept a little picture up, right? Because I did my research yesterday. So breaks itself into that. But then at the same time, the demiurge, who doesn't know that it is just the unconscious, the subconscious, the part that reacts to the consciousness that is God, the all-knowing. The demiurge is the unknowing. It's just developing in the dark, right? So this dude turns himself into multiple pieces too. Let me run that back because I had that saved up on him. Y'all ready for this? So he changed his name into Yaldabaoth. That's one version of himself. Saklas, and then Samael. Samael, the blind god, right? Because Samael can't see who he is. They just down there, I guess, floating as an energy, not necessarily a thing yet, just a being in the dark. One day, these beings see a beautiful light. And keep in mind, these is all him, right? The demiurge down the bottom. He sees a beautiful light, doesn't know what it is, but knows that it's never like seen that before. It wants it. It wants to hold it. Like, what is this? So it mimics it, creates its own version of it. And what's going on above is Sophia is flying around. Sophia doesn't sleep. Sophia does whatever she wants, whenever she wants, but usually her brother is with her to do it. In this particular case, her brother doesn't feel like doing what Sophia wants to do this time, and Sophia doesn't feel like waiting. So when she sees this light, she's like, much like Ariel, because Ariel is her second name, the name that she comes back with in the next life. Ariel says, I'm going to go see what this light is. When Ariel got to the bottom of the ocean, she was devoured by the darkness. That's the way to put it, right? Now, keep in mind, these energies at that time, it was just the demiurge, didn't have a name, didn't have a name for the black beings. Just imagine them as blobs of goo, right? Once they entered Sophia's body, they were reborn through her. That's when you get that lion head dude that we call the demiurge. That is Samael or Yaldabaoth or whatever you want to call him. But through Sophia, he was reborn. But what happened when he was reborn is he became the three pieces, the other beings, uh, dark angels, archons, they're called. Angels, archons. That's not even, we're not even to demons yet, right? Archons, that's the shadow god's version of his angels. So after he got Sophia, he's like, I can't let her go. I ain't never had no light before. But that's not how it went. Sophia called out to God, and he brought her home. He brought her home and left them down there with only the light that they had already taken from her. Right? So at this point, Samael, which is like the leader, the smartest one of the other ones, even though he is the blind one, because you see the other dude is named Fool, right? So Sam and his other selves come up with a plan. They're going to heaven, or at least one of them is going to heaven, and he's going to get in there and he's going to infiltrate, and then he's going to let the rest of his dudes in heaven because in his mind, the voice that he hears, his higher self, which is the demiurge, because the demiurge is unpersonified. It is a frequency. It matches God. High gradient, low gradient. So Samael technically is the demiurge's avatar in the game. He came up with a plan, created a whole planet for himself where he just focused. But in his mind, he was upset the whole time because his mama left. The only time he had ever known light or love was when Sophia was stuck down there having to raise it until God took her back into heaven. The movie example I got for this was when the nun in the Freddy Krueger movie, I don't know if it's the first, second, third, one of them, Son of a Thousand Maniacs or whatever they called it, the nun made a mistake and got locked in the room with the dudes in the mental asylum for a weekend. And they wore her ass out that whole weekend. It's a horrible way to put it. But when she was done, she was pregnant. But what she was pregnant with was Freddy Krueger, the son of a thousand maniacs. That's another one of those collective unconscious stories. He's been trying to tell his story through everything here. So now what I'm going to tell you guys is going to bring all of this together along with the message. So we just went through the archangels. I'm going to close my tab so I keep track in my mind of the message I've been sent to deliver, because it seems like full disclosure is what's going on from here. Abraxas, the name of the being that is, I guess, the ultimate scale. His number is 365. If you are familiar with the movie 365, and let me highlight that for y'all. His number is 365. That's why we have 365 days of the year. It is the program with which he has trapped humans in. In the movie 365, it's about a man who is in charge of his father's business after he dies. And one day, something traumatic happens to him, but he sees the face of this woman. And then one day he happens to come across this woman. When he comes across this woman, he can't stop thinking about this woman. He has to do something. So what does he do? He has the woman kidnapped and he gives her 365 days to fall in love with him because 365. That movie is also a collective unconscious thing. He wants his mother that he took as a bride once he became a person in his body. And keep in mind, Samael is just the evil, I'm gonna say evil, the service to self copy, unconscious copy of Christ Michael. I came across some BTS music stuff about Abrasics, right? Like they wrote a whole album and a whole row out. But it was saying that each angel had to meet up with their fallen self so they could be aware of their shadows and their light, because only through fully knowing thyself can you reach your true power. That was supposed to be the point in splitting the universe into, or even Sophia's fall, which was already predetermined or predestined, in order to bring everything back together through love, to show that you can separate, but love will bring it back together. Because the one thing that Hasatan, the demiurge, Samael loves, is the one thing Michael loves. So up in heaven, y'all beginning to see now, this is some good shit. Up in heaven, Michael was paired with Jophiel, or Sophia, just another name, older Sophia, right? But he was a soldier. It's like the Jedi's, because I didn't watch Star Wars and shit, but I went through the little synopsis because some channels was coming through that I needed it. But he could protect her and care for her, but love was not a part of what he was like born to do. Remember, every angel had a specific principle. Sophia was the angel of love. She's the only one that knew love at that time and how to give it. So she's paired with the dude who only knows how to protect. So yeah, he was always on her ass, like, don't do this, don't do that, because he's trying to protect her and he has to follow her around and take care of her and make sure she's good and stuff, right? But that was the way he loved, caring for her. That was like his ward. What God had said, you take care of this. This is my baby girl. This is your sister. Take care of her. They're consorts, they're partners, right? So what that turned into after Sophia left, when Michael like lost the shit because his sister got kidnapped. And not only did she get kidnapped, when she came back, she was sort of not the same Sophia that she was before. All that happiness, all that ha ha he, the shit that used to annoy him as her brother was gone. So what happened to his shadow in balance of that was an strange obsession. And I can't even say strange if you understand psychology. The shadow part of him learned to love, but it was like the deepest level of love, the 20th degree of Scorpio, which is also the last degree that Ariel rules in the zodiac chart, right? The most powerful love that's on the scale of, I would die for you, but I would kill you too if you try to leave me. Her falling and leaving him, the trauma that came from the shame from his father, from something that happened from her, and just the fact that that's the one job he had at that time was to protect her, created a being that did not want to let go of her no matter what, because every time she's out of his sight, something fucking happens to Sophia. Okay, so understanding how Sam thinks versus Michael. Michael's down here chasing, trying to get his sister back, and this one doesn't want to let her back because he doesn't know that, hey, this is, y'all are the same dude. Y'all are the same dude. So 365. Now, my son starts talking about Spy Kids randomly. Spy Kids game over. Now, the last time my attack happened, my initiation 2 years ago, 2021. Yeah. The last movie I watched before I realized I had to get the fuck out of the house was Spy Kids Game Over. Let me show y'all this shit and give y'all a little synopsis on this plot so y'all can understand what the hell happening here. And while some days I just log out because I gotta be like, bro, this is too much. I can't be over here assisting people, helping them with like love and life issues when it's like the devil, or the thing that is considered the devil, is over here relaying messages to me. How am I supposed to combine both of them words? I just end up like this. That's my own considered PTSD. I'm just rocking with it. Like, all right, this makes sense. Like after it sort of came to me, it was explained that the Saw movies and that Squid Games are just his messages that he sends to us to try to remind you. If you're smart enough to remember everything that happened before you got here, he'll let you out. But you got to have sympathy before you get past the gate, which was the same thing the dude in Saw was doing. And number one, because that's what I'm gonna call this dude now. I don't even want to say the other names. Number one, because he was the first soul that was trapped in the material. Number one, watches everybody else. Like, I've been here a long time. I've seen that a lot of these people don't care about anything. But if you can show me one person that genuinely cares, I'll let up on it. That's what number one was doing in Squid Games, and that's what number one is doing to all of us here. So this dude in Spy Kids is known as the Toy Maker. The Toy Maker used to be a part of the Confederation of Good Guys until he made some mistake. They got him punished by the top panel. So they put him or trapped him inside of a simulation, right? But while he was trapped in this simulation, he created his own game and he started capturing souls in this game, right? So when he has captured a significant number of the rest of the agents in his game, what's the sister's name? Oh my goodness, because this is some good shit. Oh, I don't even think it matters. The Confederation decides to send in their main lead girl, right? Carmen. They send in the main lead girl. She has to go inside the game and shut it down from the inside. No, they're not supposed to be in the game. This game isn't even supposed to be real, but they cannot continue to let the kids that are going to this planet suffer. So Carmen says, hey, bro, she calls her brother up. Let's go. We got to go help. Her brother doesn't answer. He's not there to help her this time. So she goes on her own. And what happens to her when she goes down there? She gets trapped by the toy maker, and the toy maker puts her to sleep. She's in a coma. But the toy maker hollers up, cuckoo, I got your sister. If you wanna, you'll come in this game too and meet me at the end. So, oh boy, number one takes the sister and puts her at the very end of the game. But then he wakes her up and he's like, hey, if y'all can find each other in the midst of all the game stuff I have going on, all the tricks, if y'all can make it to the end where it's finally my time to be released to test everybody, and y'all can do it, we're good. Just come back in the game, bro. So it's like number one finally realized not all of Sophia left. Part of Sophia was still in a coma. That part of Sophia that was in a coma is known as Hecate. He woke up the part that was in the coma, the part that was just the consciousness. It had been just the fragmented mind of her that they had been rebirthing over and over again through that Akamoth thing I showed you guys, right? So he woke up the sister. And I think right now we're at the part where they're still waiting at the finish line because of that goat thing I just showed y'all. That's level 5. That's getting to 5D, where we get to build with pyramids, with our minds, speak to each other telepathically. But in order to get there, you got to get past number one. So it turns out number one just wanted to come back home. He just wanted to be forgiven. That was the bottom line at the end of the movie. Once they got to the end, they started talking to him, and he was tired of this. Look, this is what made me holler, y'all. So the toy maker has got so bored by himself that he has divided himself into 3 other guys to talk and bounce his ideas off of and help plan his kingdom, because he has went insane in the darkness. Insane. The grandfather comes into the game and forgives him and lets him out of the simulation back into the fold. So everything goes back into integration at the end of the movie. That would be the big hoo-hoo. Do I hope that's what's supposed to happen? Yeah, because that all was just a metaphor, a collective recording of what they expect to happen. Sophia is in the game as soon as Chris realizes, hold on, there's another piece of her, because he's been coming back lifetime after lifetime, just picking pieces of her up. Like, all right, let's, because he wants the original sister that he took for granted back in the first place. Now, in his own way, through trauma, many, many lifetimes, he has learned to love in the way that he wasn't able to love her in the first place. Because as a soldier, he thought he cannot love. His heart was not for that until he lost it. So, yeah, your sister up there is like your consort, the wife, the person that God created as a match for you, not what we have here. There was no genetics, no DNA, no bio shit then. So learning to love is the goal here, period. even other people. Think about it. When you love somebody, you have sex with them, and then you create a baby, a whole new person. Your energies merge together, and that's the only way you return back to source. When you see the Trinity, you'll see it's Jesus, Sophia, and then God here. In order for those two to come back together and to turn back into God, because God is both male and female energy, they have to merge. So, what I got from the universe's biggest mama boy. You never could have told me that a day would come that I would not be like, oh my God, and just roast the dude. Because that's what it is. You remember at the end of it, I hope so, y'all remember, guys. I watch movies all the time, they make me very happy. Once they couldn't get scared by him, and once he realized they weren't scared of him anymore, his powers didn't work. And then once they started roasting him, he got even smaller. Because that's the trick, guys. You got to look at the monster under the bed to realize why you shouldn't be scared of the monster. The monster was lonely and turned into a bully. And even then, it's like it was service to self. He refused to believe that there was anything greater than him or even accept the fact that that light part could be him. All that shadow. Think about your shadow. Your shadow has a hard time accepting the good things about yourself. Think about all the times you fucked yourself out of something good because your shadow was like, you can't have that. You ain't worth that. That's what the demiurge is. It sees the light and it hates the light because it's been in the dark so long. But when you turn the light on, like, hey, what the fuck you doing over there? Things change up a little bit. You see that it's just a being that is seeking light because it refuses to take it from another source. So therefore, it has trained all these other beings to take the light of others, to seek the light of others. But after a while, that's sort of not what it became. It started being an observer, like it realized what it was and started sitting on a pedestal, like the jigsaw. So now the actual devil, they keep saying the devil is the liar. That's a confusion. Y'all are referring to his son. Lucifer will lie to you. Lucifer will trick you. Lucifer is Loki. He will say anything. You'll be all fucked up. That's Pan. But Satan, as you call him, thrives off of the fact that he is telling you things that are the truth. He will make you kill yourself with the truth about yourself because you're so ashamed. He will kill you with the stuff that is in your shadow that you don't face. But if you can face it, back the fuck off. Who knew? Right? The rest of the archangels, and I mean not the archangels, the archons, that's different. Those are different principles of evil. Like that's murder, that's sodomy, that's rape, that's all those things. Those are attributes that they develop within their selves. The same way that Michael developed valiance. He realized he was a protector. Like when he started doing what he just did naturally, it was soldiering. He's the ruler of Mars too, because Samael is him, but Samael is the version of him that only cared about self and conquest and creating a kingdom, whereas Michael wanted to fight for the kingdom. I just kept getting stopped separating everything because it's all coming back together anyway. Love is going to heal it all, and sympathy, understanding. Like even when you try to see somebody who is evil, or you perceive to be evil, or something you don't understand, take your feelings out of it for a second and say, how did this happen? How did this get here? Where did the storyline come from? Loneliness will make a lot of people do a lot of things too. Sadness, anger, it takes you out of character, but it takes you into the character of your shadow, which is what you need to know, because you need to know what you're capable of. So what's about to happen is the main message. I'm about to close with this because I know that was a lot. What's about to happen to him? Everything's coming to a boil, is what was said. And he's not hiding any plans. He said that's the humans hiding plans. That's the humans who make other people join this Illuminati group where they have to keep a secret. That was never anything that was said. None of this was done. There are people who know exactly what I am telling you guys right now, but keep it amongst themselves and then tell other people, well, once you know the secret, you have to keep it a secret so you can join our ranks and know the things. This was knowledge we were all supposed to have. Those people are going to get it, because that's the crazy thing about this bad thing. Puts you in the trap so you can overcome the trap. But if you don't overcome the trap that is of your own making, as far as he's concerned, that was your lesson. But if you overcome it, even though you sort of traded out a piece of your yourself to overcome it in some way, shape, or form, that's what the puzzle piece was about. You gained a strength and you learned to value the time that you had. Saturn is all about time. So think about every trap he has. It's like, you spent your whole life ignoring the fact that you had legs. Now you will crawl Wait, that's what's about to happen here. Everybody's about to be tested. That's what Saturn and Pisces is. This is for everybody. They're bringing the pot to a boil so that they can see who is the cream of the crop. Now, I didn't really understand this, but I just kept seeing a boiling pot and like them skimming stuff off the top. It's like a filtration process. Only the pure get to heaven. And by pure, it's pure of heart. And that's not even the martyr thing, because at first I thought it was a martyr thing, like you got to die for somebody else. But no, this is like being of service to other people. I think that dying for other people is a trick too. Like you don't have to necessarily like, but if you see somebody hungry, give them some money. You're being tested every day. For a long time, I told 211. He used to hate giving homeless people money. He's like, nah, they on drugs. I ain't giving them nothing. They junkies. I remember stories from when I was younger about the fact that the homeless people, or sometimes God tests you through the people, right? I kept that with me. Like I knew it. I knew it in the bottom of my soul. So every time I see a homeless person, that's not my problem to judge you. If I have money, you have money. If you're on drugs, I don't know what happened to you that made you get on those drugs, but I hope God carries you through. Here's some money. Not my problem. Not my. He said, if you have a coat and you see somebody cold, give them your coat. It'll be returned to you. That's the principle I live by. And now, whenever he sees a homeless person, he gives them money. As a matter of fact, he carries money around in the car so that he can, in case they come along, because they're like tolls, like Beauty and the Beast. You saw how there was the hag in the beginning who was like, "Hey, give me such and such," and he was like, "No, you ugly bitch." That was a trick. People come to you uh, as tests. Are you going to level up? Are you going to do something nice without knowing why you're doing it? And it's the same thing with the demiurge, with that energy. Goes through people all the time, especially those Acts 1 to B1 people, because they don't know that when they sign and they take that oath, they are agreeing to be conduits for this energy whenever they're needed, which leads me back to Putin. Putin, head gang, of course, because he owns a country, right? About 2 years ago, Stranger in Moscow kept playing. I didn't know what any of that was about until I saw the name of that bomb. That person is in there. That's not Putin no more. That soul is not Putin no more. That is the being with the bigger plan. That is the goat. So when y'all see what this man is about to do, and you're wondering how could somebody be so evil, in his mind, that's not the case. In his mind, this is Thanos, and we are at a time that everything is chaotic. It is going to build to peak chaos, so that the people who are not really good people are removed. You don't find out who you really are till you get pushed into a difficult position, is his belief. Now God is right there like trying to coddle it or whatever, but keep in mind these are two things working in balance. You can't get past the scale at all. When I first started, like there was so many things looking back now on my awakening that I'm like, hold on, holy shit. The first thing I did was go to church. I was in a really dark place. My awakening did not start from anything bright. It started from like a horrible situation that I just felt like I didn't even want to do it anymore. So I went to church. I was so down. I went to church in a black hoodie. I was just like, I'm not beat. This particular day, there was a guest speaker. And keep in mind, I didn't go to church on a regular basis. Church always rubbed me wrong. I couldn't put my finger on it. I do now. Guest speaker. And what the guest speaker says is, do you know about Daddy's menu? Looking back now, this is so fucked up. Do you know about Daddy's menu? And so at this moment, I'm picking up from my hoodie. I was like, he said, when you go out to eat, you always know how much money you have. You check, you look at the prices when you order something or whatever. You're within your budget. But take a moment and think about when you go out with your father, when you go out with your parents. It's not the same. You don't necessarily look at the prices or nothing because you were daddy. He said you need to look at life like it's daddy's menu. This is your world. You're blocking yourself from receiving things. That was the gist of his sermon. It was not until I watched Little Nicky again that I understood that people are conduits. People are. It don't matter if they're in church. You don't know. You don't know what the person. Just because they on that pulpit or making that gospel album, it doesn't mean that they. Sometimes people are conduits for messages. It was not until I was already in Vegas. After I had took Daddy's menu, I decided I was like, I've never been to California. I've never done anything. I've only stayed in Maryland and in Georgia my whole life, back and forth. Then after that, I stretched out and I went to Florida, lived in Miami for a little bit. Then I was like, what else can we do? And then we went to Vegas and we went to New Mexico and I saw stuff I had never seen, right? I get to Vegas, y'all. sitting outside a gas station. And I noticed this homeless lady, she keeps asking people for change. You see my eyes, that's exactly what the fuck I look like. She keeps asking people for change. And she's saying like this story. She's trying to tell her whole life, and she tries to tell every person that walks by. And me sitting my ass in the car, I'm like, oh. Now, the day before this, I had noticed there was a spirit trying to talk to me. I was like, mm-mm. I told 211, I was like, yo, bruh, stop trying to talk to me. And he was like, well, what is it? And I was like, it seems like that dude from the Beyonce video. Like, what the fuck you mean? I was like, if you remember Lemonade, in like every frame of her shit, there was a dude that had a guitar, and he was sitting in a chair and he had a hat on. He wouldn't show his face. That's the dude that I think this is. So I look it up and it's like Papa Legba. I'm like, oh, I don't fuck with no deities. I don't fuck with no spirits. I don't know what this is. Maybe they could just talk to you over here, but I'm not doing it. And so I look it up because I just need to make sure like my life ain't in danger. I didn't know what any of this was, right? So it's just like, collect data. There's different offerings and stuff in there, blah, blah, blah. He's just supposed to be a person at the crossroads. I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm like, I don't need a deal. I'm good, sir. Most respectfully, because I even wrote in the Facebook group and he was to look up my name. You see it like under there, like, hey, how do you respectfully decline an entity that is interested in you? So one of the offerings on this thing was like fucking 3 pennies or some shit. At that moment, as I'm watching this homeless lady not getting no help. She's like leaning on top of the trash can. She's crippled. She's down bad, y'all. I look over at 211 seat and I see 3 pennies face up. I ain't have nothing else to give him. And I wasn't really thinking about that or him or any of that because it still wasn't really real to me yet. I grabbed the 3 pennies and some other change I had, put it in my hand, and I put my hand out the window to give it to her. She came over to me. She was like, bless your heart. Then shit got wild, right? This was right after I stopped being a wedding photographer because I like fell and then my whole business fell apart. So she looks at me, right? She was like, all those people took your talent and they don't even care that you're out here and you don't have anywhere to live. Because I was homeless, but I was still like kicking it, like, hey. She was like, you don't have anywhere to live. And they don't care about you. They just took from you, but it's okay. You're gonna be good. And so she takes the change and she walks away because I'm freaked the fuck out at this point because there's no way she should have known any of this. And when she gets back to that trash can, y'all, she said, you're smart. And then she went right back to her spiel talking to other people, telling her story. So I'm 211 gets back in the car. He was getting something at the gas station. I guess I got set up for okie doke. He gets back in and I tell him what happened. He look at me crazy. He's like, that's wild because he's not really paying me attention. He's still, even now, sometimes he ain't really paying me attention. He's starting to get it, but it's like, nah, bro, you don't get it. Even after what I'm about to tell y'all. So pull out the parking spot, drive around the corner, come to like this weird dead end. And as we start to pull out the dead end, there's a man on some train tracks, the waves. You know how Forrest Gump waved at Lieutenant Dan? He waves us down, right? So I'm freaked out because when people talk to me, I'm like, somebody can see me. Why are they talking to me? So he waves us down and he starts like sort of jogging towards us. It was at that moment that I took note of the red and black. And y'all know red and black is his colors. Just know. Whenever you see somebody in red and black, they on demon time because we're just synced. We don't even know why we're doing what we're doing most of the time, but it's syncing. So when you're red and black, I saw that and I'm like, dude walks up to my window because I'm thinking it's just a homeless person getting me some change. I don't know. He said, I can't even do this, y'all. I'm still fucked up. Just thinking about it. He leans over and he was like, good day. I'll be at your service if you ever need anything. He was like, I am only a whisper away. Just let me know. Nice to meet you. I'm Daddy. And he walks the fuck away. Before that, he was like, I don't know what Mama's doing. She's like somewhere on the other side of town or nothing, but I'm glad to meet y'all. And that was it. He walked off. We then proceeded to pull off and sit at the gas station and stared into fucking space for at least 30 minutes. And keep in mind, my kids saw this. So my daughter was behind me. She was like, that did not happen. That did not really happen. Yes, it did. Because she was in the car when the homeless lady was there. So she watched the whole thing. Yes, there was a man that walked up to me and said, I'm Daddy. And if you need me, I'm only a whisper away. So just to let y'all know, when I came back to Georgia, when I was in my lake house, when I was doing all my research, I came across several videos of celebrities who had also met him. DMX said he came to him 3 times. Different people, just offering deals. Came across Eminem. There was lots of other people. But it turns out, when you try to reach crown, when you reach a level in your talent or your consciousness, who at the door, and it can come through other people. So as the temperature starts to rise, the boil comes to a whatever crescendo, more and more people are going to be subject to it. That's what I'm gonna call it. Because when you watch the movie It, you'll also notice that when the fear stopped working with him just attacking in the astral, he started coming through the darkness of the people that were closest to them to attack them, the targets that he was looking for. Each person has a different vibration and a different level of heart energy, a different, do I want to say like a point system? Yeah, it goes with the asteroid prey thing. Everybody has a different value based upon how much light they have in their heart or how much power their higher self has. They are trying to take down the biggest marks, and a lot of those biggest marks are stars because those people are stars technically. They have found their light within them and they are shining at their brightest, which is why they get to be celebrities. They're like the first people that are getting shot. When I went over that way, I had no idea that this whole time I was supposed to be a celebrity and that's supposed to be where I'm being led. And he was just trying to meet me at the door because gang is getting thrown out. I don't even know if y'all supposed to know that, but just let this be sitting back here. It's only like 100 of y'all to watch these videos. So if I do become a celebrity one day and they get mad enough to cancel me and then go through all my stuff, then they'll start to share stuff like this, right? But as they share stuff like this, it's actually like a Trojan horse, right? Because once you hear it, you got to think about it. And then stuff starts to unravel. And you're like, hold on, what is the nature of my reality? And that is the gag. If people can start thinking for themselves, even if it's pushed through darkness in order to get to the other side, you can get home. If you remain in ignorance, you remain in what? The dark. And who gets you in the dark? Because he's just collecting for the place where he stays, in the shadow. So what's going to happen here is this whole war thing. Everybody's going to be all out of sorts. Evil gets his time to rule. This is like when Scar got the Pride Lands. Yeah, that's coming, y'all. Just keeping it 100. That's what I saw. It was bad, except for in certain places. There are some places that are blessed, and I believe that has to do with that meek shall inherit. The people who have been broken and mistreated and all that stuff this time, they're going to end up in the kingdoms. So I don't know about y'all, but I got a plan. I do know one thing: get your ass out the United States. I mean, you can stay here, but I don't think it's going. I'm getting the fuck out of the United States. How about that? I don't like to tell nobody what to do. Call me Rose. I'm going to be in the heart of the ocean. That's where I'll be. That's where I've been told is safe, or where we'll be safe going forward. There's going to be a lot of stuff that's going on the outside, and there are going to be certain places in this world where you will be in peace and you won't even know the horrors that are going on outside. Some people are not trusting their gut enough to go to the places that are uncharted because they don't know that one day those places will be the meccas of this world. They're too busy holding on to the old world. Let it go. Oh, because it's about to get let go anyway. So, as your friendly local messenger, be good to other people, and life will keep trying you, but still keep being good to other people. But mostly, be aware of your darkness, be aware of your shadow, be aware of the shadows of the people around you. Keep it 100, because this is one of those times where just being like, I know their heart might not be the move, because sometimes that shadow closes out that heart, y'all. You don't know somebody's heart. You might know the mask they wear. So the message from Bad Dad was like, live or die, make your choice. But no, really. It's like, is this humanity? What is humanity made of? That's the test. And I would have thought that was for Saturn and Aquarius. Is Pluto in Aquarius? Something is going on there. Something big there. But is this humanity? Is this what y'all thought it would be? What are y'all made of? Do y'all work together as a group? Do y'all even care about each other? We're being tested on togetherness in the biggest way. He sort of bets that they'll just tear themselves apart instead of coming together. Because that's the gag. If we all came together and started having conversations like this, instead of arguing about who's right and who's wrong and policies and all these things that they use to divide us from having a chat. Because if we was to all sit into the group chat and start telling each other what we knew, all this would be dissolved. And that's how he gets us. He's like, y'all could have did it all along. Gave y'all a fucking book. Give y'all movies. I tell y'all who I am all the time. You choose to be ignorant, baby. So he gets you with the ugly truth. God is the absolute truth. This guy points out the seediest, most horrible things, and all you can do is go, because they're true. So when I was getting led through and seeing A, B, C, and D, it was to let me know every person that made a deal with him or thought they made a deal with him because they thought the devil was cool and was just giving out gifts, you were severely mistaken. He takes pride in being the disciplinarian, the one who lets you fuck up so he can bring down the hammer. And he's about to bring down the hammer. So any one of those people that made a deal or thought they was going to end up on the other end as the victors or the rulers of the world are about to be in for a big surprise, because all their shit is going to get leaked. It's coming out. There are tapes. There are horrible, horrible tapes of a Epstein nature that was only the beginning. A lot of what he had on that island was hidden, but that won't be the case at all. So goodbye to your false idols. Goodbye to your false establishments. Goodbye to anything that is not of the higher God in the world. This is the enforcer. We have been misled on purpose to believe that there was an evil that makes us run back home in that way. The evil is within us. It's within our own selfishness. It's within our own blind godness. So this was a lot. Hope I didn't scare anybody, because I hate that talking about this stuff scares people. The scary thing is if you don't know and you just end up in it further. So have a great day, guys.